All right.
Okay. All right. Is there any editing?
No. How about that? How about no editing? We can do some light editing.
Just thinking about like getting started.
Episode number 1, right here, Parker and Jacob, the real talk, the real shit, like what it's like to really be an entrepreneur, like what it's like to really start a business. Like, so, all right, you and I, a year or so ago, had this idea to create a course on how to start a business. And it's the 0 to 1 for brand new entrepreneurs. Very tactical. It's very practical. Well, we did it with a couple of things that we thought were important. One, there's a lot of personal anecdotes from our experience over the last, 15, 20 years of being self-employed ourselves, of having several businesses. But it's also coming from this bent of like, man, fuck all this, like, hyperbolic social media crap that we see about earning $8,000 a month and $800,000 a month and $8 million a month. And like all these like ugly purple Lambos and these big ugly watches. And like, we have just been able to do this for a very long time. Yeah, it'd be great to make a ton of money, but like, it's more than that. Like being an entrepreneur is not just about like getting like hyper wealthy. It's like, there's something else about it. And so that's the stuff I think that people want to hear about. I think that's the stuff that we want to talk about. It's what we always find ourselves talking about.
I think all of the Lambo stuff and the passive income stuff and all that, it feels like the easy button. Right. Everybody wants an easy button.
That's right.
How do I make mailbox money? How do I jet set around the world while working 2 hours a day? And feel like you can trace it all the way back to 4-hour work week, like, which is a great book, but started this whole culture of like, I mean, I think the ugly truth of it is it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
And there isn't an easy button 99.9% of the time. And the 0.1% you're hearing about are the exception.
That's right.
And the reward is the hard part. So like why we wanted to make this course and why we wanted to talk about this, I feel like is because we've grinded it out, been successful. I don't think we've had massive exits or anything that you would,
right.
But like we've made a living, both of us. We've made a good livings thus far and controlled our time.
Yeah.
Controlled our life and thus controlled our happiness.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing for me is like why entrepreneurship, if it is risky and hard, is because you can control all the dials in your life.
Right.
So when we made the more tactical stuff about like how to start a business, how to market, how to name it, what you should do first, what your mindset should be, I think all that just serves the like, why in the first place do you want to do this? Which is that you have to like the reward is complete control and figuring out how you're wired so that you can be happy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, money is a part of it because money is freedom in our society, and freedom, at least for me, is happiness, or it's a big component of that.
Yeah.
Like it's funny, before we started recording, my kids were in here and I took them to the gym this morning, and I love taking them to the gym because I can really like, anytime they're around something, they get curious about it. So like trying to explain to them, like, it's never ending. It's the process. You go because exercise makes you less tired. They don't understand that. They think they just want to rest. I'm like, well, I get that, but like body in motion stays in motion, use it or lose it. And it's kind of the same thing with I feel like with my entrepreneurial journey or whatever you want to call it, is like building it and seeing things grow and succeed and fail and put hard work into it is like, that's just as the reason why as the outcome.
Yeah.
Much like exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of great points that I want to like double down on that you mentioned. One is that I think is interesting is you use the word risky, and somebody, my mentor, Perry Claiborne, pointed out the difference in risk and uncertainty, and which I thought was actually really helpful for me. He teaches a course at the D School at Stanford called Launchpad, and it's working with entrepreneurs to launch a new product or a service. And one of the things that he talks about is the difference between risk and uncertainty. Everything is risky nowadays, right? There is no job in the world that is secure like it was maybe for our parents, right? There's very little loyalty between employers and employees. And so everything is technically risky. You could get laid off at any time because there's very little loyalty. I think the thing about entrepreneurship is it's uncertain. It's not necessarily risky. We just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to make it, if this product will sell, if this service will sell. It's just uncertain. And that's a different thing. And it also doesn't have the same connotation that like risk does. And so
Yeah.
when I think about, like, you and I both have had maybe hundreds of conversations at this point with people who are interested in being an entrepreneur and starting their own business. And they're like, man, I'm scared walking away from this steady paycheck, like, man, this feels risky. I was like, no more risky than continuing to work for Google or Facebook or any other, tech firm that could lay you off and probably will lay you off at any given moment.
Yeah. And I also think we need to reevaluate or re-examine what the word risk means. To me, contentment is risky. You've got a finite amount of time on earth. Let's call it 80 years if you're lucky. 60 of those years is probably work life of some kind. If you realize at a young age that you like, I don't know how to describe it. If you realize at a young age that there's something else out there that's not just the normal beaten path, and you want that, you can kind of figure it out early on. Maybe you want to be a rock star, maybe you want to be an artist, or maybe you want to, it's just, there's a seed that people get as probably a teenager. Denying that your entire life is the riskiest thing. Like, because you can get a steady paycheck with annual raises and your benefits, and maybe you're responsible for more than just you, your family. Like, I completely understand it. There's no judgment. But if you have that little inner voice that wants to do more, wants to do something else, wants to take your shot, try out for the team kind of thing, and you never do it, way riskier to me than trying. What's the worst thing that happened? You fail. Okay, go get a job.
So what?
I mean, it's easier said than done. And I know I'm sort of like broad stroking it, but I've always felt that it's way riskier to not take the chances than it is to take the chances.
Totally. Yeah. Deathbed regrets kind of thing.
Like you would first, like, go back to the conversation you and I had one of the first times we ever sat down. Like, you're in a car. Do you want to be in the driver's seat or do you want to be in the passenger seat?
Right.
You're still going to go.
Yeah.
And if you're in the passenger seat, you can take in the view. But if you're in the driver's seat, you get to pick where you go. How fast you go. Is it how you go? I can't see the driver's seat and not get in it. And I think there are people who don't feel that way, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But if you are one of those people, then I think there's never been a better time, of course, with technology and to try something.
Right.
You could try anything.
So easy.
We're currently recording this on some piece of software that transcripts it for us, puts it on the internet, and it's painless.
Right.
We'd have been recording this 10 years ago. We would have needed a studio set up.
Right.
So, I mean, there's always been no excuse if you want to really go after something, but now there's a lot less.
There's never been an easier time.
Never been an easier time.
Right.
I don't think so. And maybe that'll continue in that direction. And we'll look back 10 years from now, we'll say, God, it's even easier.
Yeah. The tools available to us all now are unbelievable. The ability to go through like umpteen rounds of trial and error, it's unbelievable. Like, it's just, we didn't have a lot of these tools, even probably the same for you, but like my first couple of technical startups, one of the very first things I ever tried to do was mail order coffee, whole bean coffee. And this was before Starbucks. This is telling how old I am, but this is, a long time ago. And I was literally, mailing it to people, handwriting labels. We didn't have computers. We didn't have anything to crank out mass labels or anything like that. And so, the tools available now, I would just hop on probably Shopify and open up a store or, whatever, have everything drop shipped. It'd be a completely different world.
Right. And you have access to all the information known to mankind on your phone.
Yeah.
Not only are the tools available to spin up a business in a day, you could pop on YouTube and have someone will show you how to do it.
Yeah.
And so
step by step. Yeah.
I mean, I think the reason that I know that I won't speak for both of us, but I'm pretty sure we're aligned on this, entrepreneurship or business or whatever you want to call it is been a massive factor in what I'm able to do with my life and my time. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Now, how you do it, whether you build a big company or you're just services for hire one person or whatever, that's to each person's desire. But you can completely, if you need money to navigate the society you're in and you want to navigate it, say buy things, travel, move about, you can do it on your own terms if you just try.
Yeah. All right. So all right. So that's the risk and uncertainty piece. But now we're moving into this, kind of the whys, right? The why do we do it? And you just said something I thought was really cool. And as I walked into this office a minute ago, your boys were here, hanging out summertime and you get to be here with them. There's so much more flexibility in your life. And even though it may feel like, oh man, having my kids here is like, it's kind of a time crunch and hands offs and things like that. And we get to be with our, you get to be with your kids. It's like, and you're a guy that doesn't miss events that they go to. I know this about you, and you never have.
Yeah. I both my wife and I picked them up from school, when they're in school. Like,
Yeah.
I have thought about that a lot because they're growing up around, both myself and my wife have businesses, and we have crazy hours sometimes, and sometimes we have downtime. Like, they're seeing all this flexibility. They don't know what it's like to see mom and dad go to work at 8 o'clock and come home at 5 o'clock, and they're inaccessible. And that's just the way it is because they have bosses, and that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
And, as a latchkey kid in the 80s and 90s, and that was totally fine. But like, you could call mom and dad at work, but they weren't coming home unless it was an emergency.
Yep.
They weren't like, so having a completely different context for that is, I'm happy they get to see it.
Yeah.
And I also think it works as an adult. Like, I didn't realize what you could do with entrepreneurship until I was around one.
Yep.
I mean, I abstractly realized, like, oh yeah, you can start your own thing and you can get rich and you can do whatever. Like, that sounds fun. Until I was around someone who just ran a business that made enough money to fuel their life, and they were having fun doing it. And I was like, oh
yeah,
why am I bartending?
Yeah.
And then,
yeah. My first, I think back when I was 18 or 19, I graduated high school, barely, and moved out to Colorado Springs in hopes of like becoming a professional rock climber. And, but I worked at this deli called Wooglin's Deli. It's still there. It's owned by a totally different group of people, but it was a little like tiny college deli, right? Mostly is like right on the edge of Colorado College, and it served college kids, and it was like a deli, sandwiches and soups and whatnot. And I worked there for, I don't know, maybe a year and a half or something like that. But Dan and Amy were the people that started that deli. They were graduates from that college. They started that deli together, and then they ran it and they owned it. And then, we were doing all the cooking and the serving, all the kids were, right? Like, we were kind of, making the place hum each and every day. But, they kind of stopped in and like saw things over and made sure food got ordered and payroll got done. And then they would go out and do other things. And they were like, Dan was doing real estate and Amy made jewelry on the side. And like, they had all these like other interests going on. And man, they were like driving old ratty pickups, and they were broke and they were busy all the time and kind of running ragged all the time. But it looked so exciting. Like there was like, I don't know what it was about that. They were just like, they weren't sitting in a cubicle. They weren't like, my mom was a teacher, so she went to school and taught every day. And like, they weren't having to like sit static in this one place all day, every day. And that was the thing that really appealed to like my, I don't know if it's like ADD or desire to explore. I don't know what it is, but like that got me at an early age.
I think desire to explore is a great way to put it. It sounds sort of hyperbolic, but like, I think if it was like the year was 1650, I would want to be an explorer.
Right.
Like, I would get on the boat and go. You're probably going to die. Maybe you'll see some new land. Maybe you'll find gold.
Yeah.
Who knows what's over the horizon? They literally did not know.
Yeah.
I think it would call to me. I really do. I know.
Yeah.
My buddy has this joke about like every guy wants to know how they would have performed in World War II. It's like built into your DNA. And like, I think it's the same kind of mentality. Like, I have no desire to have been in World War II, but like something about like, there's an epic journey calling you. You answer it. Yeah. Anything can happen. The odds are you might get hurt or not come back, but the odds are you might have an adventure of a lifetime. And like, what are we here for in the first place?
Yeah. So
when you grow up and you're fortunate enough that you're not going to war or you're not sailing a ship over the horizon, but you have you're navigating the confines of like our modern life.
Yeah.
The closest thing to adventure feels like entrepreneurship. What are you going to go risk, build, see what's over the horizon? Maybe you'll get hurt, maybe.
Yeah.
But why not try?
Yeah.
Or you can stay on shore, and that's fine too. But if you're standing at the shore looking out to sea, then I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't get in the boat.
Yeah. I mean, you certainly make me think of I'm going to screw it up, but like the old saying, right? Like, boats weren't made to sit in the harbor, something like that, right?
Sure.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. I know of it, but I can't.
Yeah. It's something along those lines. Yeah.
I think it's like, if you're listening to this or your algorithm or whatever you look at online is filled with these kind of things, there's probably something to be like, to explore deep in yourself, or like, yeah, what's the modern equivalent of exploring, and can you do that and also provide for yourself and your family? Like, right. I don't think it could be anything better.
Yeah.
Currently.
Well, I mean, to that point, like, I mean, if we go back in time, most humans were technically entrepreneurs or small business. Like, I mean, especially in a more agrarian age, right? Like when everybody just had a farm and they produced stuff on their farm and then they sold it to the marketplace, right?
Well, yeah. And like the kind of 9 to 5 work life that you and I have talked about this in the past that we know is not very old.
No, industrial age is not old at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, if you really wanted to stretch it, you'd say like maybe 1890 or something, but like, so you're talking 120 years of this sort of, we're all on the same watch. We all go to work at the same time. We all have lunch at the same time. We all come home at the same time. And then we have family time and we go to sleep and then we do it again. And then over the years, we got weekends and things like that and vacation time and all this. That's not that old.
No.
Human beings have been around tens of thousands of years here. So like, there's a lot of programming that's like not that.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's the seed of being like, I don't like that.
Yeah. I don't like it either.
That's fine. If you do like it, some people thrive on stability and I am jealous.
Yeah.
I do not. So I think all of the how-tos that we've discussed in Starting Block or that you can find anywhere on the internet are just there to serve the othering you feel that you want to do something. You want to do something different and you're willing to take the risk and put in the effort and the work.
Yeah. All right. So this brings up a good point. Like this is the thing I wanted to ask you about today, which is we created, Starting Block, which we think is a great course. And I think is like super practical in helping people get from 0 to 1. So it's, tax IDs and bank accounts and software and all of these things, these kind of very practical things to get up and running to hopefully start generating revenue with whatever your product or your service is very quickly. And the way that you can do that with very little to no money, very little time, all that. So that's super cool. But like the thing that I've been more interested in lately is like the emotional side, the soft side of being an entrepreneur. So you said early on, like it's hard as shit. Like it is hard. It's, it's hard to start a business. It's hard to run a business, but if you're called to do it, you don't really have a choice. So like whatever, get comfortable with it, get comfortable with the discomfort. But I'm curious, like, what are the things that you think have helped you be successful, that have helped you be able to be your own boss for such a long time? Like behavior, soft skills, like attitudes, I don't know, mindsets, like shit like that.
I think learning from mistakes is key.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the sense of like, I've done things, I've went to work for people or I've built things in a way that I just felt like because the opportunity was there, and then realized it's not like, you get to know yourself more along the way, right?
Yeah.
I think it's like, I'm about to be 42. I've probably worked for myself in some capacity mixed with working for other people since I was 25. You just get to know what fuels you, what you hate, what like you think you might like, but actually if you really dissect it, it's going to make you miserable. And you have to listen to that inner voice. And I don't think it just comes with experience.
Yeah.
It's hard to set out and know exactly. My worst one was building up a company where I needed to be there from like 8 to 7 every day, and everyone depended on me. And I wasn't doing any of the creative stuff that I really thrive on. I was doing all administrative management, which I'd never done before. But on the surface, I had this cool company with this brand and everybody kind of liked it. But behind the surface, I was miserable, stressed, only worried about the bottom line. How are we going to do this? And it was when that blew up, that was the thing to be like, all right, don't do that again, because you'll get the opportunity to do it again.
Yeah.
You get a lot of opportunities the more you stay in this game. Like people will give you money, people will partner with you, but you have to learn to say no to those. I think that's, I guess, the answer is like learning to say no, learning about yourself. Those are hard soft skills. Those are skills that don't come easy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Like I feel like I've talked to a lot of clients about this, the power of saying no, the power of like not getting into something that you're not a good fit for. And at the same time, I think you have to make that mistake. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you have to learn that from the mistake. I don't know that you can, I hope that people get to make it proactively without having to do the same dumb shit that I've done. But at the same time, I'm like, man, it feels like everybody's just got their own path and we all have to learn shit the hard way. That's probably like more about life than it is just about business.
You feel like you get more in tune with your gut, and you have to listen to your gut. And I also think if you're successful at this, even whether it's wildly successful or just like you've provided a living for yourself, whatever,
right?
You've got some kind of inner navigation, some kind of gut that maybe other people don't have, that you need to listen to.
Yeah.
Like for example, right now, like I'm in pretty big growth mindset.
Yep.
What I'm up to, And I'm like, a business advice person who might look at my life and go, you need to slow down and, build some reserves up and do whatever. But like, I am currently following my gut. I'm like, I think it's time to go big or go home. And I'm like, I'm reinvesting. I'm thinking bigger. I'm adding people. I'm like thinking, am I taking on more overhead? I feel it.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. And that'll be fine.
Right.
I will pivot, start over, do something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
Shrink it back down. But I think much like we talked about risk being missed opportunities or not listening to yourself and being trapped, there's also like when to say no. That's probably up there as number one. But number two is also like when to put the foot on the gas.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one. I've been thinking a lot, the stuff, and I made a short, like a video about this a couple days ago, but like the things that seem to have benefited me. I mean, like we all have natural skills, right? Like I'm a decent communicator. I think that's probably, one of my more like natural skills is like, I can be fairly charismatic and talk to people very comfortably. They can tell that I'm comfortable and they're comfortable. Sure, yeah. Like that's a thing that happens. And so everybody's got their own like skill set that is probably fairly natural and innate. But I think some of the things that have gotten me the furthest lately, I've been saying are like kindness, compassion, and generosity. And which I know like that has nothing to do, like you can't do that online. Like there's no form to fill out for these things, but like they are things that you can practice that I think help you go a long way. Building great relationships is one of the best things that you can do as an entrepreneur, right? Like, because that's your network, that's your referral network, that's people that you will call on that could eventually be your customer or your client one day. Yeah. You are in real estate is like nothing but a relationship business, right? Like it's not a ton of transactions per customer, right? Like you might get, if you get repeat customers, maybe they come back 3 or 4 times, in their lifetime, right? If they buy 3 or 4 houses. So the relationship is like the primary thing, right? Like we
100%
got to learn to be kind. And I'll just say this before I forget, because I forgot on the video, but like, it's like kindness, compassion, and generosity to others and to ourselves. That's the thing that like has taken me the longest to learn is being kind to myself when I screw something up, when I make the inevitable mistake or failure or whatever, like having some kindness and some compassion towards myself and not beating myself up, which is like, can be an MO. And it's, it's super fucking unproductive to beat yourself up.
It reminds me of that expression, like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Like, if you want to build yourself up and burn bridges, go for it. You can build a business. You can piss everyone off. You can be ruthless, but you can set fire to the path behind you. And so who cares who else comes along? I mean, there are people who that's their mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you're going to live one life, I don't know if that's a legacy anybody really wants.
Yeah.
And so the opposite would be you can build community. You can take people with you. You can help people and they help you. You can go further. Yeah. And you can rely on them and they can rely on you. And at the end of the day, you can turn around and be like, look what we've all accomplished.
Yeah.
Much better.
Right. It's more fun. Yeah.
Better legacy, better experience, better impact on your community than just being like, I'm just going to come hell or high water, succeed. I don't care who gets stepped on.
Yeah. This is all right. So this is a more of a weird Parker philosophy that I'm picking up late in life, but like, I feel like everything is a circuit. And so like, early on, especially when we're in our 20s, we're selfish and kind of self-centered. And we're like, I want this, I need that. And always thinking about what I need, what I want versus thinking about other people. But I think what I'm learning late in life maybe is that everything is like a circuit. So if I give kindness, if I give compassion, if I give generosity, right, then I am able to receive kindness. I'm able to receive compassion and generosity from others. Same thing I think is true with love, right? Like, for people that are like walking around looking for love, it's like, fuck man, have you tried to give it yet? Like be generous with your love and then watch it come back versus like walking around with your hand out waiting to get it. I don't know. Does that connect with you at all? This idea of like things are like a circuit?
Yes, it does. Yeah. No, I like that analogy. And I think also because like, it reminds me of the thought of, you attract what you're putting out, right? Like
that's good. Yeah.
If you want like-minded people to work with you, or you're looking for a partner who has these characteristics that you're hoping, you need to display those.
Yeah.
People gravitate towards. No one, you're not like you go by the love thing. You're not going to find love by being frustrated and grumpy. You know, no one wants to.
That's a turnoff.
No one wants to hang out with that.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think if you were to think, zoom out and think about that in general with your relationships, whether it be work or friends or partner or kids or like, yeah, I mean, compassion and like being fun. And like, those are people want to work with people like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Be cool to be around.
Yeah. Don't be a dick. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds so basic.
Right.
I have to remind myself of this. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I get, and I have days where I'm like frustrated with everything.
Yeah.
But you have to figure out a way to step back from that and go, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know, none of this matters if I'm miserable.
Right.
Or making people miserable.
Man, this is a great, super short story. I was talking to a buddy on the way over here, and he's doing a mix of things. He's doing a little bit of real estate. He's driving Uber. He's trying to like launch some other things. He's a fitness trainer for some people. So he's got a few irons in the fire. But one of the things he said, he's like, so forever, he's like, I used to drive Uber like with my earphones in. Like I would just have, I'd be like listening to music, not talking to the people in the back of the car. And he's like, and then one day I just like, I'm going to try to engage and like see what happens. And he's, pretty introverted guy, clearly. He's like, but I'm just going to like take the the earbuds out and like talk to my customers. And so we started doing that. He's like, not surprisingly, all my tips started to go way up. And so, yeah, same thing, right? Like you start to give and you can certainly receive in that same way.
I'll give you a similar story along the lines of like, you don't know what can happen if you're not open to it, right?
That's right.
I got in an Uber a month ago or so now, and normally I grab my phone and I'm just like, I take that opportunity riding in the back to catch up on whatever, because a lot of times I'm driving around and I'm not on my phone. I did that, and then this guy was jamming some like really like almost reggae, like African like beat, like rhythmic music.
Yeah.
And I made a comment or something, and he's from Nigeria. And we started talking, how'd you get here, whatever. And I said like, oh man, this music makes me want to be on a boat. And he goes, oh, like, I forgot what he called it, but I was like, yeah, I know Fela Kuti. And he freaked out.
Did he really?
Because Fela Kuti is a musician from Africa that's like not a lot of people know. I was like, yes, I know Fela Kuti. I like Femi Kuti as kid.
Yeah.
I know that genre of music. I'm a super nerd about soul music. We ended up in the rest of this like talking about music. He's talking about how he would go see Fela Kuti when he was a kid down the street in the 80s.
Wow.
Like, we just had this very common experience because we had an interest in this one thing.
Yeah.
He's from Nigeria. I'm from Tennessee,
right.
And we're sitting there talking about it, and it's an Uber ride I still remember. And like, and I could have not had that conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you like pull your eyes up and pay attention, like there's a lot of cool things that can happen, whether it's a memorable conversation or a life-changing business opportunity because you paid attention to where you were.
Totally. Did you tip him well?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. See, that's good, right? Yeah. It's funny how that works. All right, dude, like we're running up on time here. I feel like we could talk about like this side of things. I really wanted to get into like resilience and the importance of resilience, but we'll save that for like episode 2. So I do have a parting question for you though. Like,
okay.
This is, if you had to take a job, if like all your entrepreneurial pursuits, like were hitting a brick wall and you're like, fuck man, I got to take a job to provide for my family, where would you go?
Right now?
Yeah. Like right now.
Oh man, construction.
I mean, I'm kind of there.
I'm terrible. I have no talent construction wise in my 2 hands, but I've worked around it enough that I could be of value to someone else's company if I needed to be.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have no answer because my gut immediately turned over that I just don't think I could do it.
Unemployable.
Your company was the best company I ever worked for, but I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I couldn't either. Clearly,
I mean, I've gone too far.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think I would have to scrape, beg, borrow, and steal to get back on my feet or something. I don't know. Great question. What about you?
It's the joke is always that like I would go to Home Depot, just that's
something,
like a place where I could go and still be helpful to people, which is, that's kind of like my love language or whatever. So I would still get to kind of like do that, but I don't know, man, I'm getting old. I don't know if I could be on my feet on the concrete all day, every day. So feels like it'd be hard on the body.
Just something where you could check out and like hang out with people.
Yeah. Right. I mean, like, yeah. And still kind of like be in flow and just hopefully be like a bright spot in people's days. I don't know if that would cover my bills, but I'm a pretty cheap date, but I don't know.
It's interesting. And I'm just this is just to jump back a little bit. I don't often think about what I would do if I failed at everything and I had to do something.
Yeah.
I do often think about if I could go back, what's a thing I would love to have done that I just never thought about doing until I was older. I often think about Air Force pilot.
Oh, interesting.
So like growing up, there was no way I was getting in the armed services. I was very anti that at that age. But the idea of flying jets and like, see, again, it's sort of like the adventure, the explorer, the risk. I grew up with like, my mom brought home Adobe Photoshop when I was in 8th grade from her work, and I started playing with it. And I started making stuff with Photoshop. And then punk rock, and I could see people making magazines and putting out their own records. And so I used the framework that was around me now that I look at it.
Yeah.
But if none of that framework was around me, I think I still would have had some urge to be like, what's over the horizon? And maybe that's why people do sign up for the Air Force or they do move to new cities. I just happened to be seeing people building, they weren't businesses, but they were like their art. They were putting out art, records, zines, putting on shows, getting people to come to the shows, taking pictures at the shows, putting those pictures on websites that we all went to look at the shows.
Right.
This little tiny ecosystem. And I think it really dug itself into my veins.
Yeah.
And so to back to your question, I can't unsee it. I can't, I've long lost soul a long time ago.
I know. I think about like all the places that I have experience in, if I went back into design or consulting or something like that, and could probably make a fortune and just couldn't do it. Like I just don't have it in me to do that for somebody else anymore. So
because as we both know, the fortune part is just like a side effect.
That's right.
It's not if you were just in it for that, you'd probably have one.
Maybe,
or maybe I would that would be great to be able to spend money anywhere I wanted or give it back or have complete freedom and never have to worry about it ever again. But it's not the only driving factor, or I feel like I would have done it already.
Yeah. Good point. All right, dude, we got to wrap this one up. For those of you that are listening, if you are interested in our online course, so we've got this great course called Starting Block, and you can find it at How to Start Your .business. We're on Instagram too. So I think it's just called Starting Block Course, Starting Block Course. And then we're on YouTube too. So you can like look on YouTube and find us there. Yeah. What else? Anything else?
I'd say too, like I think a lot of what Parker and I are interested in is finding like-minded people and
that's right.
And exploring the idea of a bigger community and how this is affecting other people. So just drop us a line.
Yeah, totally reach out. We would love to hear from you. We'll totally we read everything. We reply to everything. So if you're listening to this, you got questions, you got ideas, you just want to jam on something, let us know. And we'll catch you on the next one.